What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rob Lee here, back with yet another video here at Stay Shining Sports. And today we're doing something completely different, something I actually wanted to do for the longest time. Now, I play Draftkings, especially during the football season, mostly during the football season. Sometimes I'll dabble into NBA, but anyway. But yeah, what I'm going to start doing here is after every slate, and I hope a few of you guys actually understand a little bit about daily fantasy sports and things like that. But yeah, just to add some extra content to the channel other than just sports cards. That's why I named the channel Stay Shining Sports, because I knew that I'm probably just going to use this for everything sports. Hey, I might even start playing Madden on this channel. You never know. But basically, so after every slate, after Sunday, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be reviewing my lineup, seeing what I did right, what I did wrong, if I won a contest, if I lost. It's going to be mostly losses because so on Draftkings there's two different types of ways you can play. You get to play cash games or you can play GPPs. GPPs are basically tournaments, and just based on my play in the last few years and what my strengths are and my weaknesses are, I've decided that I'm going to play strictly GPPs. I may dabble into some double ups here and there. More than likely, maybe I'll dabble in some triple ups, and sometimes I also like to do like 3-man and 5-man tournament leagues. But for the most part, I play low field GPPs. I start out with a bankroll. My bankroll this year is just $1,000, and every Sunday slate I play somewhere between. Some people say, hey, it's okay to play 20% of your bankroll. I've tried the 20% bankroll. I feel like although this is a strategy game and things like that, it is also very volatile, and you don't tend to, if you're, things it's a lot of volatility. And when it comes to other, because I also do sports betting, which I also might do some videos on my sports betting, like my picks during the week, and I also play poker. And it's funny how, like, when I look at bankroll management videos on daily fantasy, it says okay to play 20% of your bankroll, and then you play most in cash, and then you play most or play a little small percent GPP, and they'll say they'll recommend, oh, you can play 20%, but I feel like 20% is a lot, and I've tried it, and I ain't gonna lie, I've gone bust store a couple of times, and my bankroll don't last because you go 3 weeks of losing in cash, and that can happen, and your bankroll is basically done. So I decided I wasn't great in cash, and the return on cash isn't that great either, but I do win or rank high in GPPs ever so often, to the point where you only need to win 1 or 2 a year. You win 1 or 2 GPPs a year, especially the contests that I'm selecting, and based on my bankroll, you will profit throughout the entire football season, which is the main goal. Hey, if I win a big major contest, that'd be awesome too. But my main goal is to just profit, and that's it. So only thing I'm playing this year is GPPs, small field, no more than about 5,000 if I can help it. This week was a little different. I had a lot of free tickets, so I played the 25-cent quarter jukebox, nothing crazy. And sometimes I may do a multi. If I get my bankroll up, I might max out there's a contest on here that you can max out that's only like 50 cents for 150 lineups. But anyway, let's just go to my lineup, see what I did right, see what I did wrong, and yeah, it's gonna be a pretty fun video. Gonna get this started. So let's see. I think it'll be history, and we're only gonna go to the main slate. I do also play. I will also play Showdown. I'm not gonna show you my Showdown lineups on here. Even though on Thursday actually I did well. I didn't win, but I didn't lose either. I actually cashed in one of those lineups. But for now, we're just gonna go. We're not gonna look at the showdowns from last night. Last night Showdown sucked. Thursday Showdown did good. Last night Showdown, thank you. I didn't pick Leonard for that, basically. So anyway, let's get into it. So these are the contests that I selected on Sunday. NFL Engage 8, Engage 8, 3 Engage 8s. So I only played about, I said my bankroll's around 1,000. So right now, instead of doing 20%, since I'm just doing GPPs, I'm doing anywhere from 5 to 7.5, maybe 1% of, or maybe 2 10% of my, so 5 to 10% of my bankroll every week, and I'll play GPPs, and I'm going to do mostly contests with less than 5,000, ideally around 1,000, and a couple of under $500 to $100, and hopefully I can build my bankroll up. So I get to some of these contests that I really want to play. But anyway, so let's go to we'll go to the ones that I didn't cash in, and we'll go to my best lineup and show you what I was thinking. So I do use optimizers when I'm making my lineups, and this is one of my lineups that I did, and I'll tell you my thought process out for these lineups. So so basically for the most part though, I use roller grinders as my place where I do my optimizing and stuff like that, and I always, at the very least, I do correlate the quarterback with at least one receiver. In this particular lineup, it's 2, but at least one. A main rule that's well known around the industry is quarterback stack it for one receiver or stack it with, or 2, and have a bring back. I don't do the bring back that much unless it projects well. So I'll plug it into the optimizer. I'll make it a rule. All that stuff is way advanced stuff. It's too much stuff to go through right now in this one video, but I'll make it a rule sometimes that, hey, some of my lineups that can have a bring back, and I go off projections. So I'll look at I'll run about 600 up to 2,000 lineups in the optimizer, and then I'll basically choose the ones that look close to the ones that I would pick anyway, but it has good projections and it has low, you don't want a lineup with a lot of ownership. So this is the ownership. Roto Guidance give you ownership projections, actual projections, the chances that a player is going to exceed their ownership projections, and so many tools and stuff. Like I said, not I like to go over in this one video. I'm just showing you guys the lineups that succeeded my thought process. So this particular lineup, I had a few shares of Trevor Lawrence. I was like, well, this game, it can, when you're talking about two bad teams, I actually like to target a lot of bad team lineups because, one, the ownership's not going to be there. You're talking about the Washington Commanders and the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are two bad teams, but these games could go off. This is a game where, like, the players in these games, feel like they're better than the other team. So they will sometimes show out. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been chasing Trevor Lawrence for this year and last year for him to, at his salary, to actually go crazy, but he hasn't given us that game. He was only 25 yards away from the 300-yard bonus, but it's okay. This lineup didn't fare too well, but this is my thought process in this particular one. So my main stack was probably Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. Marvin Jones Jr. just fit in this lineup probably because of the salary. So all that matters. If I don't like the double stack, but if the salary is good and the play projects well, then I'll do it because it makes more sense to stack a player with the quarterback if it makes sense. Now, in some situations, and this happened a lot, especially with Russell Wilson, we won't have this problem this year unless Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton price go up. But last year, in the last couple of years, with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, their prices were around where Tyreek Hill's is a lot, like 6,800, right? And it was hard to stack them. And when you have players with that big of a salary, both players need to go off. But the thing is, they negatively correlate each other, because if one player goes off, you're more than likely, and a lot of times there was not too many games where Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf went off. However, when you're talking about Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones Jr., Christian Kirk projected well anyway, so it was almost like a given that he was going to put up something like this. But Marvin Jones Jr. at his salary, I mean, even this stat line's not even terrible, but had he fallen into the end zone or got even a couple more catches and got closer to the 100-yard bonus, and you're talking about 15 points from somebody that's 4.4, just makes sense to me. Like I said, I did have a bring back, although I was playing a lot of Dotson from the Redskins, or sorry, the Commanders, and I'll get to that when we get to my other lineups. But yeah, it's just it just didn't make sense in this lineup. I played a lot of Christian McCaffrey. He was 30% in this particular contest. This is the $10 hundo. This is a 100-man contest. Although I will say this contest is pretty sharp. Like when I look at some of the players, you can tell that when you're on your phone, a lot of players have avatars of a bunch of the sites around the industry, and a lot of sharp players actually play in these contests. So I might actually not play too many of the hundos, even though it's like for the low low dollar amount that I play, it's one of the only contests with the lower amount of people that I want to play. I want to play against only 100 people, 200 people, but this contest is kind of sharp. So at the same time, so a lot of times I try to find my edge, and I realize that the hundo contests aren't actually that great for me to play. The only thing that I did made a mistake on this lineup too is I didn't check. Like I said, I'll pick the lineup from the optimizer if it's projected well and it has a low ownership percentage of accumulated ownership percentage for the entire lineup. I don't care about necessarily individual ownerships. Like for example, Christian McCaffrey at 30%. I really don't care because Christian McCaffrey at his salary more than likely usually smashes. I mean, he had a bad game this game, but he usually smashes most of the time. Like, I mean, I'm talking way more than 30% of the time. But as you see, the rest of my lineup, 3%, 3%, 12%, 14%, 3, 2, 3. Doesn't matter if I have Christian McCaffrey. It doesn't matter if he's chalky in this lineup. But anyway, I digress. I forgot to say what was going to cut. But like I said, just he fitted in this lineup. This is my first video, and I'm trying to there's so many thoughts going on in my head. But anyway, okay. So what I was saying was I picked this lineup from the optimizer because it projected well, but I didn't actually check to see if I had any late. Like when it comes to the main slate, you want to have a little bit from the first games and a little bit from the second games. And I didn't actually necessarily check. Actually, you know what? I added Deebo Samuels to this lineup because I thought that they were playing in the 4 o'clock slate. And usually San Francisco does. And I actually didn't check, and it actually was on the first slate. So this lineup was actually at the top, but after the 4 o'clock games, it dropped down pretty quickly. But this lineup, I thought it was pretty decent. I had the Jaguars. So one thing with defense with me, and you're going to see, I literally hone in on 3 defenses. My defense is usually the way a lot of people don't spend time on defense. I do a little bit. I like to go cheap defenses that are playing bad quarterbacks, or quarterbacks that tend to either going to throw a lot or just bad. It's going to turn the ball over a lot. I feel like that gives me the best chance for this. I mean, the Jaguars had 2 interceptions, a sack. This is Carson Wentz we're talking about on a new team. The Commanders, any of these interceptions could go for a touchdown. You know what I mean? So that's how I like to look at defenses. It doesn't always work out, but I feel like, I just don't want my defense to have 0, and I did get a couple of zeros though, so we'll look at that in a second. So let's go back to. So I don't usually, it's funny. I don't usually look on the actual site here, but I'm usually on my phone, so this is. That's why I'm struggling right now. Upcoming, history. Okay, so let's go to that was one of my lineups. Let's go to the lineup that actually fared. So this was the 15,000 fair catch contest that I played. The top prize was $1,500. It was only a $15 entry, and actually I placed 61. I actually tied with a guy. Too easy. We did not have the same lineup, but we actually had the same points though. This is the best lineup. But let's look at this lineup because this was one of my top lineups that I had. And actually this saved the day that actually broke me even for the most part throughout the day. So I ran with just for Hurts. Like I said, when it comes to the optimizers, I am going to play whatever the optimizer is. I set the ownership percentage at a certain percentage I want it to be compared to what the ownership percentage of an optimal lineup is going to be. Maybe 10 or 20% lower, but making sure that projection isn't that much lower. So I am going to end up with lineups with chalky players like Saquon, even Kamara, although I probably could have faded him. I wasn't on Kamara, but when you start, and I do listen to a lot of content, and I was actually going to fade Kamara because he was not coming up in my optimizer a lot. He wasn't projecting well. But when you hear people tout and bring out names, you tend to, okay, maybe I'll bump him up a little bit and see if what lineup spilled him out. And so he ended up in this lineup. Yeah, I had Hurts and I paired him up with A.J. Brown. I did not have a bring back. Once again, so this lineup, especially, and here's the thing too. So Philadelphia projected to basically blow out Detroit, even though this game was close. It was almost a blowout. So I didn't have that many lineups with bringbacks. If I feel like a team is going to blow one team out, I'm definitely not going to bring back. So I had that feeling. I had A.J. Brown. I felt like, come on, it's A.J. Brown. He has a great ceiling, but I think now he may have somewhat of a floor now, being that he's on a team that's going to throw the ball, even though he's kind of in a situation where Hurts is still going to run the ball a lot. They're still going to, I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more than Tannehill too. Really was on hating Hurts. I was almost 100% hating Hurts. He was only getting 2%, and I'm like, man, he's a great tight end. Even as a backup to Kyle Pitts last year, he was putting up numbers. So I had almost 100% of hating Hurts. Jalen Waddle, I just fit him in his lineup. Sometimes I go to lineups and place guys that I know is low on, but it's going to get some volume. So I picked Jalen Waddle. Jefferson, he was showing up at all my optimizers as well. And especially big players, like Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey were both showing up in my optimizer a lot. I leave them alone. If they're showing up, they're going to be there. Same with Saquon Barkley. Even with his ownership, he was still showing up. It's like, okay, he's going to have the ownership, whatever, but let me find the pieces around him that can move me up the leaderboard if something crazy happens. And actually, Justin Jefferson came in a lot lower than I thought. So especially after the first games, I had Randall Cobb left and Justin Jefferson, I believe. I might have somebody else left. I can't remember. But, you know, felt very comfortable. And Randall Cobb just, the low, I only played 3 really low price receivers. It was Randall Cobb, Dotson from the Commanders, and Dobbs from the Packers, the other receiver on the Packers. Because I was like, well, they don't have any receivers. He's got to throw the ball to somebody. And that still didn't work out for them. But this lineup was decent. Wasn't enough. Kamara could easily have been DeAndre Swift, because I played a lot of DeAndre Swift. But yeah, that was my best lineup. So it wasn't a terrible first week. Didn't win. But hey, broke even for the most part. Won a little bit on Thursday, but no, I'm definitely down because last night at the showdown I lost a good chunk of money compared to my bankroll. So I'm probably down maybe like $20-$30. I keep telling myself with showdown I need to play a very low percentage of my money on showdown. But anyway, guys, that's basically it for now. So I'm gonna be doing a couple different videos throughout the week. Maybe I'll do a top 5 players that I'm going to be choosing. I might do another sports betting video talking about the picks that I made, and because I got a bankroll to the side for sports betting too. So who knows? Anyway, guys, peace out. See you next time.